Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio, the show that is always 100% on time and 100% the show where the host remembers to do, the host slash social media expert slash everything else remembers to collect those ducks, arrange them in a fashion that is presumably a straight line, and then crosses that street without incident. I'm the said duck aligning host, Andrew. There's a thing I forgot to do this week. It's a new issue. This is new issue week. I have to add it to the I have to add it to the rotation. I always forget that. Or sometimes I forget that. I have to add the new thing to the loop of my very high tech Twitch streaming setup, where it is definitely a super complicated thing and not just a couple images organized to kind of just loop forever. But that's enough about. If you're like, what the heck is Indiepocalypse though? I don't know what that thing is. I don't get. Oh, there a couple of them are out of order too. What a fool I was. Can't believe no one called me on 37 falling, not being after 36 and being in between the submission one. But Indiepocalypse, it's the monthly anthology of independent alternative video games and also tabletop games. But I skew towards video games because I think it feels like there's a lot less attention and also infinitely less money in the alternative video game space. It's at least if you get a wide enough personality that you're known well enough, you can within tabletop theoretically get people to pay money for a thing you wrote on a napkin. But I don't know if you can do that for the video game equivalent. So I'm just trying to. Anyway, whatever. That's the thing. It's the host. What's up? It's the show where I talk to video game developers and I ask them questions about their games. Usually, a question about rock formations, and certainly a question about a long-standing Japanese Dojin games specifically series. And let's see if the guests are prepared. Speaking of guests. Our first guest, you may know from. Oops, let me delete the missing guest who our last minute call out. But I guess you may know from issue 37 of Indiepocalypse, the no longer new child, the now is going, oh, the luster is shown off, and now it's like, why don't I get all the attention anymore? Which is issue 37. And I try to treat all of my video game zine children equally, but to get to the point, issue 37 with Watering a Flower, it's Lily Belmera. Lily, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing the important thing I'm trying to do right now, which is, you know what I was going to do? I needed to. I'm gonna try to do this every week now because I'm usually very bad at it. I'm going to actually run a timer because sometimes I forget the time and then I'm always worried that I'm going short. But if I have a timer, then I can go over and feel self-assured that it's good to go. But hello, yes, welcome to the show. Since you are what we call in the biz, the Indiepocalypse biz, an invited guest, the traditional introductory Indiepocalypse question doesn't apply to you, but I also have a secret backup question, which was when I contacted you, did you know what Indiepocalypse was?
Yeah, I
Fuck.
did. I saw it on I saw it on the front page of Itch like a long time ago, probably
uh,
like 2 years
yeah,
ago.
it's been a
I
while
think it was
since
featured once or
it's been a while
something.
since I got that feature.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it then, so I knew what it was. So
Okay.
thanks for inviting me.
Oh yeah, that is. It's my goal to both. Um, it's like the invitations are like a three pronged goal of sometimes looking for older games to be like, especially ones that like did a little cycle through the blogs, but aren't I don't know, video games where you're a little guy who runs around and scores points, so they don't what you say are not commercial games, so
Yeah.
they just kind of live in this blog for a period of time and then disappear after the blogs disappear or those kind of things. I also like to uh, fill in gaps that I think I've been missing, and the most important thing that I attempt to do, which is becoming as both a positive and a negative, increasingly difficult, is try to find people who don't know what this is.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, no, no. That I take that as a as a an unfortunate positive.
Mhm.
What's the opposite of a pyrrhic victory?
Oh my God.
Whatever it is, it's one of those where I fail,
Hmm.
but for a great reason.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious how you found my game because it's pretty old at this point.
Uh, that's a great question. That I have a giant list on itch that's called SEC, which is short for secret. Um,
Oh.
and I add to it, and then I have a lot of other sub lists that are like they're called like dudes or too big or big business, or these are all culled from my giant to play list, and that list is like 6,000 games, or not 6,000, or is it? I don't remember. It's very big, uh,
Hmm.
but that is also not my ambitious like. Oh, I'm gonna play all these games. That's me saying these are games that you should play.
Hmm.
That list is it is 6,757 games. so that's a lot. So I've
Wow.
culled that down to 820 that don't fit into people who have zero contact information, people who are just like regular old dudes, because I try to avoid. Let's be honest, dudes have had their day,
Yeah.
and I try to avoid much like in the same what's the word vein of I try to avoid repeats in another attempt to avoid giving opportunities to all the same people over and over again. It's like
Hmm.
no need to like your cishead white American dudes. And let's see. I sometimes if I'm feeling saucy, I'll include European in that, like UK, mainland Europe, uh,
Hmm.
have had their day. So that I call all those dudes, and then how I found your game originally, I don't remember. It could have been through a blog. It could have been through
Oh yeah.
like my recommendations. It could have just been like me playing something. I also follow everybody I include and pay attention to what they add to their collections and rate 5 stars.
Oh.
So somewhere along that line, it came into that. I added to that list, and then at the beginning of the month, I look through that list and I start I start checking out games and be like, huh, let me try out this one, let me play this one, and let me try some of these and this, and that's how I find the game I want to say, hey, uh, please spend 2 seconds to add your game to this list. I'll pay you money. Or
Yeah.
sorry, 2 seconds to make your game to this jam in exchange for I say 20, but it's like a soft 60, I think,
Hmm.
overall based on Patreon and sales. But
I
we've been
think
talking. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say the biggest mystery for me is how anyone found it to write about it in the first place, because it was like the day after I uploaded it, someone wrote an article on Waypoint, and like you can see the analytics for like how they get to your page, and it was like two people getting there from like the newest section of each. I'm like, how did you do this? I
Yeah,
still don't understand how that works at all, but it
yeah.
was nice.
The person who allows the person who actually likes those few rare souls who spelunk itch and somehow convince their bosses to let them write about these games are the true warriors of game criticism.
Oh yeah. It was
And
also on Rebind, I think, which is probably where you saw it because that was more recent.
yeah, Rebind. R is that I that's an RIP question mark. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't remember if Rebind is still active or if one of those things that's like very tentatively active. Because as it turns out, sustaining um, independent ventures are hard
Yeah.
unless you're willing to sacrifice a lot of your time and a lot of your money and recognize that you're not going to get it really in return.
Yeah. I try to just assume that I'm not gonna make any money from this
Yeah,
and
that's
just not treat it as that because I think it'll just ruin it for me.
right. Because there's such a gulf between, I think, or like there's such like you looking. It's easy to look and be like, wow, look how many game styles of games there are. But like when you look at the types of games that can make money versus like uh, and compare it to like I don't know, let's say the rest of art mediums, you realize like this the scope of games that make any kind of money at all is very small.
Yeah. I've made some money, but it's really just from like, oh, this person asked me to put something in their bundle that like
Yeah,
got popular for no reason.
right.
I don't put any effort into like marketing or anything like that because I don't like
Oh, Lily, bad news. I don't like it either.
it.
I learned that the hard way, like towards the end of towards like most of last year, is me realizing I really hate doing like the kind of marketing you need to do to be like marketable. And
Yeah.
I say this with all compliments to the games involved. They're not very marketable. they're,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, well, how do I market these 5 minute short personal experiences? Um,
Yeah.
they're not very TikTok ready.
TikTok.
They're not the sort of things I can get in your face about and point at things above my head and be just generally very irritating
Yeah.
with all disrespect to people on TikTok.
I can't imagine advertising a game on TikTok.
It's
That would be miserable.
I think it really has to be like you have to be like that specific kind of like thing, that kind you have to or just like contort your game into something that it's not so it looks like is shareable, I guess.
Yeah, I think the thing people do is they like purposefully create funny glitches and then like post a video like, look what just happened when I was making my game, and it's like you did that on purpose.
You're right. uh, there's like I think because like the hustle economy has claimed everyone so immensely, it's like uh, when you share things, you're also creating content, I guess. So you have
Exactly.
you have to like you can't just like share a thing you like. You can't be your friend talking about like this weird unapproachable movie that you like to another friend because your friend is your 100 followers that you want to turn into 1,000.
Yeah, yeah. I can't stand it. I don't even have like a Twitter or anything now. I just
When I see people when I do my like Twitter posts and people don't have links, I think to myself, yes, God bless you. People are free. You people are safe. There's it's really like it's a megaphone that I get up on and I shout into once a month and then leave.
yeah, I don't know. I might try
I
because
get
I'm making a game again. It's been like 4 years since I released something.
yeah,
I might try to like at least submit it to things.
yeah. I think you
Like,
could like yeah. There's enough if your game. See, that's the tricky thing about bundles. Also, is like you gotta hope. there's the right outrage cycle that your bundle can run counter to or something. You have
I
to.
mean, there probably will be.
Yeah, yeah. There's always one, and then there's like I am a noted bundle um, mixed feelings are, which is
Yeah. I mean, my thing is that I don't want to charge money for my game. So
yeah,
putting it in a bundle feels like wrong because it's already free. So it's
right,
like I'm sort of just advertising this if like I'm not like letting people get something for free for.
right. You're just kind of like, hey, let me. You're just shaving a couple dollars off of the. It's someone bought a basket of fries and you're helping yourself to a couple.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's yeah.
I
There's
don't know, it's weird. I'm more thinking about like I don't know. I mean I don't know how to do it yet.
right.
I guess I just mean like I'm gonna figure out how to do it a little bit, or at least submit it to like some festivals or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. That's the other thing I worry about. I've been thinking about as I see people get accepted to festivals is also games that maybe can hit some like especially not game adjacent like festivals that travel more in like the interactive arts. There's
Hmm.
there's no way to like there's no thing to catch you in the same way that like there's a way for you to get caught in like even like film or something or doing small like concert venues. There's no like nothing within the game industry is gonna like pick up your game unless it is like the little guy with points.
Yeah.
So he's like, I have a great alternative like this you have a lot of festival accolades for your art game, but then you put it on the Switch. but but speaking of art games, we've been all this time, and
Oh
tell me
yeah.
about your game, Watering a Flower.
Um, sure. Well, it's a game I made, I think 5 years ago at this point. Um, I was 18 when I made it. It's very much about like being that age and sort of becoming an adult and everything that comes with that in terms of like having more freedom and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's built like it's a conversation between like someone younger than that and then like a little older than that. Like but it's like the same person. Um yeah, I mean it's definitely like it feels like it was written by an 18-year-old, but that was also sort of the point.
yeah,
So I think my opinion has sort of changed back and forth between like how I feel about it at this point because on the one hand it's like I was really young when I wrote this, but on the other hand it's like this is pretty accurate. This
yeah.
and people like see that I think, but I don't know.
No, I think there's a lot of uh, I I sometimes I will get a submission that is like clearly someone young and enthusiastic wrote this, and I love it. And
Yeah,
there's the like it feels like it's not naive art is not the right word because that's a different thing, but there's that kind of
yeah,
they're not thinking so much about uh, what is a good game, what are the tent poles of making a good gameplay loop or whatever. There's just that that passion that needs to get out and needs to get poured into this code.
yeah. It was definitely like that, and I think like I don't know. I feel like if you asked me to submit it like 2 years ago, I would have said no. But I
Right.
think I've gone back to being like this is like a time capsule. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think that's the the cool thing is that you need to like evaluate and reevaluate like your own art and like
Yeah.
what it means to you. And if you're an 18-year-old talking to your 21-year-old self, you'd be like, okay. And then when you are 21, you're like, oh, I was insufferable when I was 18. And then when you're 25, you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I truly understand this person. Like,
Yeah.
and maybe this 21-year-old's maybe a little bit too harsh. Uh,
Yeah, that's really, yeah, that's
like,
it.
like it's like you're cringed, then you're cringing at your cringe, and then you are free of all cringe. Is
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, at the time, I think I was trying to make it a little immature, like the writing
yeah.
on purpose. So it's not like it was like completely not self-aware, but I don't know. It's hard to read.
Right.
Not because it's cringe, just because it's like, it's sad. I don't know.
No, it's because you're in too deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right. There's like I think there's like a removal you can also get where you're like, okay, maybe I feel a certain way about this, but maybe it still means something to somebody else who's not me.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that way even more about the second game I made, Paper Doll, which is like I don't know why, but it's like way more people play that one. I think
Yeah.
it's like on the top of some tags on Itch, but it has like a really long tail of like people playing it and like every day.
Uh,
And I don't know, I still get comments that are like, I'm like 18, I love this. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to delete this so bad like a year ago.
but
I
that's the
can't
thing.
do it.
You can't. You need to be that. It's important to recognize when you were like a gateway to a young mind.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, that one's fictional at least, so
Right.
I mean they're both, but like it's not really supposed to be me. So it's a little better, but I still I go back and forth. It's hard. I think I'm solidly in the I'm gonna keep this now.
Yeah, because even if what did it? Yeah. Uh, yeah, about 5 years old at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it still is like, even if you are 5 years removed from it, there are people who are you 5 years ago,
Exactly.
who
Yeah,
are so desperate for
exactly.
it.
Yeah. And it's like there's there's something there for sure.
Yeah.
I mean it felt very meaningful at the time for me, so
Right, right. You didn't just kind of make it because you. It wasn't like a calculated. Oh, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to plan this out, and this is going to be a thing that I think people need to like or whatever.
yeah.
Uh, I think that kind of thing will always connect with people, and it's the same situation. Why I think, um, like, what endures the best is like good art and bad art, and mediocre art is so forgotten by time because it
Yeah.
it feels the most without a person in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there's yeah, I am a huge fan of both ends of those spectrums, but then that middle part, that just like blandly commercial, and it will make like millions of dollars, but in like because I saw it a bunch. I think in 10 or 15 years, will anyone think about Megan Trainor anymore? you know, or will
Yeah.
she's just like another pop star that just like made a lot of money, but like these things kind of have no cultural weight, and then there will be some what'll happen is people who were the maybe they were indie critical at the time, or maybe even not that, they'll bubble to the surface and people will be like, oh wow, there was this whole movement of style of music that was going on that never got popular, and it gets all recontextualized and everything. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's I'm realizing it's tricky thing to tell people, but maybe there's some reassurance in, hey, maybe you'll be successful 10 years from now for the thing you made 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know
Yeah.
what my goal is with that. Like,
Right.
I'm
Right.
not like hoping that that will happen, but I'm also,
Hey.
I
Well,
mean, I'm fine with like random teenagers commenting on my thing, being
yeah.
like, "Thank you for making this."
This is, I
You
show all
know?
my friends, I didn't, there's somebody out there. Yeah, there's the passion of teenagers. Uh, it sustains art.
Yeah.
But speaking of sustained art, maybe. Uh,
Hmm?
I have a question here. Let me make sure I have a singular question. Yeah, I have a question here from Mochi, and is a long-standing one, which is: do you have a favorite Toho character?
No, I've never,
Perfect.
I've never played Dota. I kind of want to, but it's sort of daunting
Yeah,
how long it is. How, like, I feel like I knew some people who were into it, and I don't think they played the game. I don't
I don't.
really know how it
I
works.
don't think you. The thing is, the secret. I don't think you do need to play like the main. There's a lot of also like there's because there's so many like offshoot games that you don't really need to play the main ones.
Yeah, yeah. I probably will eventually, but
It,
I don't know any of the characters yet.
that's all right. That's it's. This is it's I should if I was a popular show, I would have someone who's running stats of like what is the percentage of people who are like I know what that is and I have one, and the percentage of people who are like I don't know
Oh
what
my
that is,
God. Yeah.
because it's been asked every week for a while now, um, but it's always fascinating because it's also a very kind of important like piece of like gaming,
Yeah, it definitely is. That's why I'm like, what? I need to know.
but it's also it's weirdly super niche at the same time. It's a very weird thing. But
Hmm.
that said, um, we've reached the end of our little chat segment here, Lily.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go on break, and I hope you can stick around for the group segment
Okay.
as I get everything organized. But see everyone else on the other side of 3 minutes and 19 seconds, roughly.
Bye.
All right, goodbye. Hello and welcome
Oh,
back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Fang Island with Daisy. Um, we're back to the show. I'm doing my thing where the second time. No, I do not want to give feedback on the above result. I hope it was 20 minutes. I should reset until I actually introduce my guest. I should. Uh, is that? I think that's what. Do you think real podcasts do that? They have like timers so they know how long they're going. It feels like they do sometimes. Uh,
Probably, right? You'd
that's
think
what
so.
like the few that I listen to, which are primarily like guest focused ones, because the fun thing about guest focused podcasts is you get new people all the time, and you're always learning about new people instead of like
mhm.
the same three people every single week, and you're like, them again.
Yeah, it's very true.
But we've got my next guest who is chatting before they've been introduced, committing good
Where is that?
podcast cardinal sins. Uh, is also from issue 37 of Indiepocalypse with Current. And it's Taylor Anderson. Hello, Taylor. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Ah, good.
Um, yeah, having a great time,
Perfect.
chatting it up.
Yes. Getting ready to go, getting ready part of the show. My excuse to I'm I live very close to PAX East, but also it's expensive, and they don't answer my emails when I even inquire about a booth. But
Oh God.
I think if you got one, it's still like $2,000, which is a lot of money.
Oh, that's too much money.
That's even like
Oh
not.
no.
That's not even like having to travel there.
Yeah.
That's like all the money the IRS gave me for being bad at business.
Yeah, I've never been to any cons just because travel anxiety and they all cost too much money and
Yeah.
now COVID, just put another thing on the pile.
Yeah. That's the way you're seeing it. If you're like deep in indie, you're seeing it. You realize that like even things like GDC, where like, oh yeah, we'll comp you the cost. Also, not to travel here though, of course. So people are like getting into shows, but then can't afford to go to the shows still
Yeah, that's brutal.
because you need to travel all the way to the west coast of the United States.
Yeah,
And
plane ticket
then
is not overly cheap.
right. No, it's expensive for me, and I live in the U.S. And then you have to stay in a very expensive city.
Oh God, yeah,
I've
yeah.
I remember I went to a thing in like when I went to Indiecade East, and like the hotel was about the size of a closet, um, and it cost me a lot of money, and then and that was taking a train there too. Uh, but I've done a show in Vermont where I had like a kitchen and like a bathroom with two doors, and, and like the whole stay was like a cost of a single night in New York for my closet.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was, and I was like, oh, this hotel rules, and it cost me
Yeah,
basically no money, and I had a
that's the
couch.
life. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like we should have more events like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe things aren't walkable, but like if you live in America and also a lot of parts of a lot of parts of the world, you're used to like life not being walkable. I
Yeah.
I think people kind of falsely presume sometimes that just everything outside of America is walkable, and that's not the case. Plenty of people also have cars all over the place. We're just the worst about it, perhaps.
Yeah. Toronto is blessedly pretty walkable, at least from where I am. I know there's a bunch of other places that are not in the city, but
Yeah, I Toronto's also nice because it's basically it just feels like Boston. I'm like, it's not busy. Not a lot of stuff is going on here. It's not chaos. It's kind of,
yeah, it is sometimes chaos, I will say.
but
But
the few times I've been, it's been relatively quiet.
yeah, yeah. Outside of the construction and stuff, it's like
Sure.
constant construction, which I guess is like the curse of a city.
Yeah, you gotta. Hey, that's the sound of people getting work.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
Speaking of work, you did some work on a game, but
10 out of 10.
but before you
Segue.
did that work, you did all that work, but then you submitted to Indiepocalypse. So the question is, hey, how'd you find out about Indiepocalypse?
I actually, I know that I heard about, like, I'm so terminally online. I probably heard about it like 17 times on Twitter, like, kind of like, and then kind of forgot about it or just like looked at it again and like, oh, I could never like be part of that. My game's not cool enough. And then eventually I got to a point where I like had confidence. I was like, okay, I could try this out, at least try to submit my game, see what happens.
Yeah, I
It worked out.
truly a blessed experience. The idea of not being considered cool enough for this thing when I am on the opposite side of being like, oh, this thing's not cool enough for anybody. It's like, I
Yeah, I don't know. When I saw, yeah, I don't know. I
yeah.
just never felt cool enough for it until I guess now. I don't know.
Do you
I think
now?
it's more just this thing than anything else.
Well, I think the secret is, and people have asked me, is like if you get into the apocalypse, because I like the games, I would never put in a game I don't like.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if I got like 3 submissions, I would be like, no, or like 10 submissions that I didn't like. I would be like, well, I guess there's no submissions this week. I have to go knock on people's doors and get 10 more submissions because I did not like any of the ones that were submitted to me.
Well, I'm glad you like currents.
Yeah,
I yeah, I ended up I kind of just started it on this like fascination with something called flow fields or flow something like that, and then I kind of just scrapped all that. But I like the idea of like a field of vectors, and you're kind of just like puttering around. And I thought I would try to turn that into a game.
yeah. So what is current?
Currents is like a puzzle game, I guess, kind of a more free flowing puzzle game. You're like making little like paths, like water currents on the sea, and you're have these islands that spit out these ships, and you have to like get one ship from one island to another with these like water currents, but it's kind of like indirect.
Yeah,
Because they're like currents, they kind of just like drag the ship along. Um, it ended up being a really weird but kind of cool way of like doing that kind of indirect control that I liked. So I ended up, yeah,
right.
working on it a bit more.
And it allows to. I like the puzzle games that allow you to over design. But
Yeah,
but we're clearly like it is like brute force your way to it. There's something interesting about like being able to draw like I can't figure this out, but if I draw like 8 million currents, I will get there.
exactly. And just like seeing the weird stuff that happens if you like put them at a cross or like put one like directly against another. There's just like a lot of like weird stuff that can happen that I was like, okay, this might actually be a thing.
Yeah, and it turns out it was a thing. Turns out it is in fact a thing. Like a quite good and enjoyable thing. But where was I going with that? I wasn't going anywhere. But yes, currents, boats, etc., etc., etc. I was
Correct.
speaking of boats in Toronto. I was actually disappointed when I went up there, and you guys don't have chowder easily accessible. I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not big on seafood, but I wouldn't know. But that makes sense.
Yeah, because I went to my like my hotel adjacent Trader Joe's, and there was like I was like, oh hell yeah, dude, eight things of soup. Can't wait to get some chowder, and there was zero available.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
I was actually just talking about this with someone that I don't know. You said there was a Trader Joe's near your hotel in Toronto?
I think so.
I was just talking with, I don't know, maybe this was like a bit ago, but I don't think there are any more Trader Joe's in Toronto at all. I
Um,
thought that would be the one place where they would be, but I don't think there are there anymore.
well, I will say through my listen as we start talking in the hyper local it was like I was about like 20 minutes from the reference library, give or take, by foot probably. And it was like not the underground shopping mall in that like that is underneath like Hilton or one of those bigger hotels, but it was like a similar thing underneath a different hotel.
Yeah. We have like this insane underground network in Toronto that is like hell for someone like me who doesn't like know orientation. Like I can get lost in
Yeah.
that little underground like network for hours.
Right, and then you come up and you're like, "Uh-oh. I thought
Yeah,
you need to go down there with like a compass and just so you like
exactly.
keep your bearings."
And for someone like me who needs a compass above ground, being below ground, I'm like, oh no,
Yeah, that
where am
is.
I?
I have no sun, no Big Dipper to guide me through this.
Yeah, there's been a few times where I've like gone down there for something, and I only find it after like double or triple the time I thought it would take to get there.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
I kind of like them. there's something nice to an underground shopping mall that I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. It's just I like that they're underground.
Yeah, there's something about it. It kind of there's this like whole like backrooms phenomenon. I feel like
Right.
it kind of is in the same vein of like being in this weird space.
Yeah, because as someone who grew up, I say grew up and still lives around only above ground malls. They're like a they're like oh the ceilings are so much shorter, and there's all these little like kiosks and they're all hiding around, and then suddenly there's a subway station.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it is kind of its own like underground ecosystem.
yeah, and it's a neat thing. I like the idea of a city where you can travel without having to walk along the streets.
Yeah. And in a place like Toronto where today or like yesterday it was like storm like an insane snowstorm with like thunder and lightning and everything. And then today it's just like all slush
Yeah,
and cold and nasty. It's like there is an appeal to like let's just go underground and do all of this that way, rather than deal with the horrible slushiness of winter, Toronto in winter.
right, right. Even if it's like there are skyways. I dream of a city with ample skyways between all their buildings.
Yeah, that's also sweet.
But I don't
There's a
know.
few of those here, but not nearly as much as the underground.
Right, not enough to get you where you want to go.
No.
But man, I would love it. But we're not just here to talk about city infrastructure all day. I don't think that's. I mean, this show isn't really about.
Well,
It's not really about anything. Perhaps it's kind of just about talking to developers who I would usually unlikely come in contact with, and developers who would unlikely come in contact with each other. But because even like this is my year off. I'm not going anywhere. Maybe next year I'll start traveling out again and
yeah.
going to shows. But even then, it's like I travel not as like a game developer, but I travel thinking as a kind of like a regular artist would, where it's like, well, how am I going to this show? I want to make money. I want to
Yeah.
I want to break even or something, and there's not a lot of that in games. You don't see a lot of game developers selling their games at conventions.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to like show that off in like a good way without renting a bunch of equipment, I guess.
Right. Yes, that's a whole. I usually have a laptop. What a singular laptop.
Yeah.
Two if I'm lucky. Because if I'm not if I'm not traveling by car, which is like maybe one or two shows ever, I'm not. I'm not. My PC tower is like the one I got, and I don't want to replace it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
So
gosh, yeah.
I'm
Traveling
not.
is
I,
utopia has.
I'm not trusting that to air travel and or nor like UPS. It's like too stressful.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very much like I'm not bringing a laptop. It's also why I made the zine, because
Oh yeah.
how do I demo 400 games? There's not really a good solution to that. So I have this cool little thing that I show off, and hopefully people will be like, I get it. Sometimes a lot of times people don't get it. They're like, I actually had to make. Very recently made a second zine, a mini zine of my own, explaining what Indiepocalypse is, so I could like have it at conventions or like markets and be like, here, read this to learn what this whole thing is.
And then get this.
Right, and then give me money for this, because people are like, oh, it's a magazine. Like, no, it's not reviews. It's not. It's it's just a bundle. I think it's mostly my fault for not using the word bundle when I just could use the word bundle.
Yeah. But there's been like all sorts of I feel like I've the bundle like idea has gone from like Humble Bundle, which was like really cool and like everybody loved it in the first days, and then like all these bundles kind of rushed in of like really all of them were kind of predatory, like here, so your game for like $1 comparatively. I joined a lot of those bundles with
Yeah.
some of my first games just to like because they kind of promises like exposure a little bit. It's like here bundle with all these other sometimes more well-known games, and now they're kind of back in a different form with all this like kind of more cool bundles of like huge bundles of games for a cause, which yeah, it's a better way to do it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of back to the original purpose theoretically, where it's like you're getting a bunch of games for charity.
Yeah, yeah, that's the big thing.
Yeah, and then but then also it devalues games individually, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's where I come in. And I'd be like, these free games? No, this free game costs $15.
Exactly. And
Or
like I don't know, it's not like Currents was like getting a whole lot of value outside of it, just kind of sitting there. I
right,
don't know.
and it's like there's I think there's my hope is that there's something to saying, hey, this thing costs money.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think that's a noble cause. I've sort of unfortunately had to abandon that with my own stuff because a lot of
Right,
the time I've given up on putting like a bunch of eyes on this thing enough to like then convert that into money. It's more just like for potential employers. It's like here's everything.
right. I
Here's
I
everything I
I'm out here doing that work.
got. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
why I also link to everyone's itch pages to be like, hey, and I guess if you want to play the games for free, you can do that too. I don't really care that much. It's kind of
Yeah,
nice to have people play the games, and if the people then get a little bit of cash, and hopefully it kind of adjusts this mindset so that people will be like, oh, I will pay $30 or $5 for a 30-minute long game,
yeah,
in the same way that people will pay like $40 for like a silent movie from the 30s.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think yeah, giving it that like cachet, I guess, culture cachet.
Yeah, because people are how we treat money is very weird, and inconsistent in terms of like
Yeah,
this idea of value.
yeah. Value in like indie games has definitely been through a lot of weird stuff with the whole like mobile kind of race to the bottom.
Right, and it's like as soon as someone finds a little bit of leverage, someone else is going to race it to the bottom as fast as they can.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Because
like yeah, the expectations just get built in of like this doesn't deserve to cost this much.
right,
Um, ideas like that.
I had someone at an event like tell me like, oh, a movie usually costs $10, so and they're like usually 90 minutes to 2 hours. So I tried it. I was like, how could you think like that?
Yeah, exactly.
So like, oh, I like to make sure a game is at least a couple hours, and it's
Oh
like
God.
that's madness. Do you only watch? My thing is, I only watch long movies, so I get the most value out of them.
Yeah, or like the idea that like I could probably make a game that takes a really long time to finish, but you would probably not like to play it.
Right.
Um, it's kind of yeah, the two things are divorced of their value.
I exclusively watch movies that are at least 3 hours long, so I get the most value out of my most bang for my buck, as they say.
Exactly.
It creates a weird number of movies a weird amalgam of movies that I watch of old epics and new epics, and then just laborious, delightful films like everyone's favorite sight and sound masterpiece, uh, Jean Dielman. But this isn't a Jean Dielman fan cast. This is Indiepocalypse Radio. So much as I occasionally think, well, what if it was? I get distracted because that is I think that is. I love when lists come out, lists of like things, especially when they're ranked, because
Oh gosh.
people always get upset about them because the right
Oh
thing
yeah.
isn't on top. But
Yeah.
the latest Sight and Sound one, I don't think any list will ever top it because that top film is a answer that satisfies nobody. It fits into no like pop culture canon, like should be number one, and it's a delight. It's a treat of decisions. But anyway, before I go too deep into full movie mode, which I've been going lately, and start rambling about, hey, what is the Three Colors trilogy of video games? Does it exist?
The Three Colors?
Three Colors? Are you not?
I'm not.
I'm gonna not
Oh,
say
no.
the director's name properly, but I'm gonna look it up while I say it before I say it. By Krzysztof Kieslowski. He did 3 movies: Colors of the French Flag, Blue, White, Red. I just watched them all. Man, I was. It's one of those things where I go, I love cinema. I love cinema. What a medium. But I think, but it is very cool, and it's true. Only coward asked the question, was the Citizen Kane of video games? Because how many of these people have even seen that movie to begin with? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's like, what did they know what it means when they ask that question?
And also, like, it's a little bit silly to like think about the Citizen Kane as like the top of the. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's very ambiguous and amorphous. It depends on the person a lot of the time.
Right. I remember seeing something on Twitter where they have people say good things on there sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think when you're less concerned about being part of the discourse and like part of like treating Twitter like a conversation, you post a lot better. But like I remember seeing people around one of the times that everyone was saying Twitter was dead. They were like, this thing doesn't work because I get nobody. I have 10,000 followers, but 60 people watch my Twitch streams and nobody retweets my stuff. And it's like, I've literally only ever seen your posts when you're just like doing like very milquetoast here's my stance on a cause kind of thing. I've never seen anyone ever promote your original content, as they say, and like that's why. It's because it rewards that kind of behavior.
Yeah. I also think it's weird to like think that you're like owed a certain amount of engagement based on your followers in general.
Right. And like it's like those people aren't following you because you play Super Mario Brothers 3 randomizer on Twitch. They're following you because when something comes up, you're going to say something kind of pithy,
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing that someone says that film school did not teach, their film degree didn't teach them which movies are good. It taught them how to explain why the good movies are good, or something to that effect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's lists. When someone sees a list of top things, you should be like, "Wow, 100 great things to try."
Yeah, it's very silly to like try to like ascribe an actual order to anything in that kind of space.
They're like completely incomparable. How do you?
Yeah.
How do you compare like Vertigo to In the Mood for Love? They're just such radically different things.
Yeah, exactly.
They just both
that's
have
not how
movies.
like art. That's not how art works.
Right,
I don't think.
Even within like Indiepocalypse, sometimes there'll be like 3 or 4 visual novels, and I'll be like, oh, maybe I have too many. But then I think, no. Visual novels are just a presentation style, but all these things are actually like radically different than each other.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. There's so many different styles,
Right.
even in with a given genre.
Right, and like in how they present the text and like what the story they're telling. It's just so there's so much avenues for expression. I think
Yeah.
games too much tech energy and like coder brain inside video games. I think.
Yeah. Especially considering like books are a thing that contain like stories in general are like there's so many different ways you can tell them even within the same presentation, same like graphics, same sound. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a
and
lot of variation.
right, and I just worry that like I think just because you have to like there's this coder element that isn't necessarily like a strictly like an art skill, I suppose. You get a lot of people who aren't necessarily like coming at it from art or like view game development as problem solving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But speaking of game development, as we approach the end of our time here, I got to ask you about a popular video game
Oh
series.
no. Oh no.
Oh, I feel like I know what the answer to this question is going to be. Do you, Taylor, have a favorite Toho character?
Oh Christ. You know, I listened to like the podcast before this and I saw that question come up and I was like, oh no, oh no. I like flipping through the Toho Wikipedia page, which is like extremely long. There's
Yes.
like 18 games, 18 and a half games in the series. I was like, I don't know where to start. Um, I unfortunately do not have a favorite Toho character.
D-
But after this,
yes.
I will look into it.
Oh, you know what? That's something I should do for. I'm trying to think of like what I want to do for my pledge drive segment. I should have a Toho segment
Oh yeah.
where I play Toho games. I've considered. I have this ubu.com link opened on my browser for a while for the film Wavelength. I was like, because friend of the show Crowdcan, I think talks about it a lot as one of our favorite films, and I was like, I should watch Wavelength finally. I was like, what if I did a watch along for Wavelength on the pledge drive? Just a like a 48-minute film that's just a single zoom on a room. Would that be a momentum killer or would that be on brand? I haven't decided yet.
Probably both.
Probably. But I don't know. I might do it. Who knows? Also, ubu.com. A huge fan of that site. It's just like
Never heard of this site.
it's like a archival site, just like alternative art that's been around since, as I say, since 1966. And I don't think the website has changed since 1966 or 1996. Sorry. I think it's probably been the exact same web design for all those years.
I mean,
But
why change it? It's perfect.
no,
Oh, this
yeah,
is cool.
that's the thing. Like they've did a post on it that I've mentioned multiple times of like the internet hasn't changed. You've just let people trick you into thinking it's changed. Because they talk about how they've been doing the same thing for like decades, almost 2 decades now, or almost 3 decades now, and like it still works.
Yeah, that is crazy to think that it's been, yeah, that long. Holy cow.
Yeah, and it's like it still works, and you can still just do it. You can still just make a website that has text and links, and it just
Yeah,
works.
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of things that just work, something that just works is my transition button. Oh, I got a big lol in the chat. I need to learn what that. We'll learn on the other side of this break. We're gonna learn what that lol is about. um, but in the meantime, um, Taylor, thank you for being here. Oh, Toho. Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
gotta be the Toho.
Perfect. I didn't know I could have had another film sicko in here. The idea of uh, truly just screening 48 minutes of avant-garde art as a Twitch stream um, would be dense. But anyway, I'm gonna find. There you are. I was trying to find where Fubar was hiding. Yeah. Also, you don't need to work. That's the other thing. You don't need to use Spotify if you don't want. Fubar just plays MP3s and FLACs and MIDIs, and it just works.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's been a while since I've used Spotify.
I mean, I still use it regularly because it's convenient, but I also buy a lot of
Yeah.
music off Bandcamp. So,
Yeah, Bandcamp is where it's at.
but I'm a strange person in terms of like I consume things the wrong way and also the right way. You know, when I was younger, I was burning PS2 games basically as demo discs to decide whether I wanted to buy them or not. So
That's sick.
I had a very strange approach to piracy, where it's like I do want to support this work, but also, I'm weird about it. But anyway, I'll be back in like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Goodbye for now. Destroyer with oh god, a virgin with a memory. And that is the thing that makes me go. I should watch. At some point, I should watch Fitzcarraldo, and also the movie about the making of Fitzcarraldo. Not The Weight of Immeasurable Talent. That's a Nick Cage movie. Oh, god, what's the name of that movie that's about the making of Fitzcarraldo?
I wish I could know what you were talking about.
Fitzcarraldo, the old Werner Herzog movie about the guy moving a boat across a mountain.
I know Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen this movie though. It sounds
I-
like a really excellent like making of documentary though.
Yeah, I've seen clips of it, and just like, besides the fact that he's like, I love listening to that guy talk because he.
Oh yeah.
It was like a very troubled shoot. In a lot of ways. Yeah. I don't got it. I don't got it. Oh.
Holy cow, this looks crazy.
What was that?
Just looking at Fitzcarraldo.
Oh.
Just sorry, I'm just researching Fitzcarraldo.
No, that's fine. Yeah. No, not Aguirre. No, don't just give me other movies. You know what I want. Burden of Dreams. That was it. Burden of Dreams, the movie about the making of Fitzcarraldo. Actually, have I? I don't think I've actually seen any of his stuff. I think I've only ever seen Nosferatu, honestly. And although I have seen that clip at the end of Grizzly Man, or that is close to the end of it, where he listens to the thing. And anyway, I like his I like that quote of being like his weird approach to his unorthodox approach to documentary filmmaking, where he's like, I want to be a hornet, not a fly on the wall. I want to be an active participant in the documentary. But anyway, we're back with after contemplating film names for a second, and then finally giving up and looking it up. We're back with Taylor and Lily, our two Toho ignorant guests today.
Oh gosh.
I'm
gonna learn about Toho one of these days.
They know nothing about the Scarlet Castle. I reached my 3 or 4 touch points that I'm aware of, as if I am some sort of expert scholar, which I am not. There's like a bird who runs a cafe or something, and sells lamprey.
God.
But or maybe that's just a game. I don't remember. Anyhow, we've got our guests here. We are sitting around hanging out in the group chat segment where we just kind of let out, and like we have questions like, hey, did any of you have either of you have any sort of burning questions where you're like, oh, the other guest, I had to speak up, or I had a question, or that sort of thing?
I forgot. I definitely did.
Well, it's possible it will return to you at some point. I'll just
Hmm.
as I find a way to retread. I'll just go back and retread our conversations. Like Chowder, Underground Malls, a bunch of movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just gonna comment on the location stuff.
Yeah.
And just I don't know. I was just thinking about that because I've never really lived in a place where there was like anything.
No,
And I was like, yeah.
I'm very similar. Uh, when my car was like broken, when I thought I just had brake issues, and then the guy was like, "Yo, your car's fucked up, man." He's like showed me like my back wheels, like this thing, like the thing that connects your wheels together. Uh, this is fully rotted through. It's not even connected. I was like, that's bad. He's like, yeah, it's real bad. You should just get a new car. It would cost so much money to fix this one.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And then I had the realization that, like the closest place, like literally the closest place that I could get a job without a car is like a 20 to 30-minute walk.
Oh no.
And then it's like a gas station or a liquor
I
store.
I had to do that when I moved here. I had to walk to the car place. Yeah. I did do that.
One
That's
time when
definitely
yeah,
rural experience. Yeah.
there was a time when I dropped off my car to be repaired, and I did not have a ride, and there were no like like a ride share would have cost like $60 to go home, and I mistimed the bus, and I didn't walk to the bus stop, which was like an hour away, and I would have to wait
Oh
another
god.
2 hours to get there, so I just walked another hour and a half home.
That's too much walking.
It is a lot of walking. But when you grow up as a kid in these places, you just kind of walk for hours on end, you know? Because you, like, got nowhere else to go. It's like, hey, you guys, you want to go to McDonald's? Oh, no one has a car. Let's go 2 hours to McDonald's.
Oh my god.
And then hope.
Yeah.
And then when a friend gets a car, you're like, we're free finally. We can. Like, I think. Like, I get why people dislike them, but unless you lived in like the middle of nowhere, it's hard to not understand the romanticism of having a car.
Oh yeah.
And like how much
I mean, it's just necessary.
right, and like the freedom it allows you. It's like we can go to the, like, when you're hanging out in high school, if your friend has a car, you guys can just like go to the 24-hour Walmart at 1 a.m.
Is this where I
I
reveal that I don't have a driver's license? I was
I
just
yeah. I
like this like
wish I where I used to
yeah.
live there were there was public transportation and I did not get a driver's license and now I'm here and I'm like there's nothing. I just need a driver's
Yeah,
license.
Yeah,
it's
that's brutal.
it's the ultimate trade-off. It's like, do you not want to spend $1 million a month to live in a house, or do you want to be near anything? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, I'd rather live somewhere.
Yeah. I've just I guess gotten lucky. Like I've always kind of lived near Toronto, so it was like never
Right.
like it was always just like, yeah, I'll probably just go there.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
it's a very I do not regret. Uh, it's not a great thing, you know, to not be able to like be near anything. To you know, when I went to go see that movie, it was like an hour drive to get there. So it's not like it's, you know, it's well out of my way to get to anywhere that has anything.
Mm.
Even my
Yeah.
own, even like where I live, no longer has a movie theater, so I have to drive like half an hour to get to a movie theater,
Oh my god.
That
and,
That's like
sucks.
and that's just like an
that's bad.
AMC. It's not even like an indie art house or
Like
something
a cool one, yeah.
right, where I can see cool movies. I have to go all the way to Providence to see cool movies.
Oh my God, wait. In Rhode Island?
Yeah.
That's like, that's crazy.
Also, it's also I don't know where you're from, but New England is tiny, so it's like relatively
Yeah,
speaking.
well, I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay, yeah, that's
So
like
I'm like surprised that there's any place that is 30 minutes from a movie theater there because in New Jersey it's like it's entirely like suburbs of New York like for like the entire state.
yeah, it's just it's just all spillover. It's like all to the bus station to New York is New Jersey.
Yeah. But now, yeah, I've moved to
Yeah, it is a weird thing to be in, but like also, you know, it's fine. It's generally difficult to have the luxury. You just got to live wherever you want to live.
hmm
There's a lot of. Did I grow up here? Well, is it? How much is it worth it to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, it's not worth it. You've got just inherit what you've got and just till the land until you die and pass it on. So to be fair, we don't have a tillable land outside of bogs. But anyway, enough about bog. No, this isn't a bog talk. Uh, this is video games. They come out.
Yeah.
People play them. Do either of you play video games? The important questions here at Indiepocalypse.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm.
Weird.
I, that's it. Um. Yeah, I've been trying to get more into like indie stuff. I for the last little while I've been playing a lot of just like the bigger multiplayer stuff with friends.
Yeah, that's the thing is like they take a lot of time and
Yeah.
there's the. It takes like a certain like degree of dedication in a way to be like I want to play something that no one's going to talk to me about with or talk with me about.
Yeah. Even just to like learn a new game is just like sometimes takes some time. But yeah. Something I gotta get back to.
But it turns out it's like when you have such a finite time, I I like did the math the other day of how much time I actually have during like if I did nothing else, how much time I had that is free time, and it's not a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a ton of stuff on your plate. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I was like, okay, if I assume that I have to sleep, and I assume that I know I have to go to work, uh, I have like about I don't know 27 hours a week, assuming that eating and making food and hygiene all takes a zero amount of time.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, I have not been playing many games, especially because when I want to, I usually am like, well, I want to work on the game I'm making, so
right, because you're like, well,
Yeah.
I gotta
That is
finish it.
the other thing. You like play so much games just because you're playing your own game a lot. A lot of the time to test it and figure out what's wrong and everything else.
yeah.
Right, it's like, I don't need to play more video games.
Or if I do, they're just gonna be whatever's easiest a lot
Yeah,
of the time. It's just something I
hmm
gotta break out of.
something yeah very very low very that's the appeal of like your multiplayer games of like I can just play a round or so of this and then be on
Yeah,
my way.
exactly.
I can just what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, I can just like I'll just play a little bit of. I'll just do my dailies, you know.
Yeah. Or like someone wants to play this, as well just play it with them and then.
Oh, we got an important late breaking question. We got an important late breaking question from Ash in the chat. Do you have favorite bogs in video games?
Oh shit. Favorite bog.
Favorite bog?
You have a favorite bog? Now I'm thinking because I have a very like specific a correlation of what I think. Because I am thinking specifically like cranberry bogs
Oh.
because that is
Yeah,
what I know. So I'm
yeah.
like, what is a broad understanding of what a bog is?
I don't know if I have a good understanding of what a bog is. I just kind of equate it with a swamp, but I don't know if that's correct.
A bog or bogland is a wetland that accumulates peat as a deposit of dead plant materials. What's a is bog the same as swamp? There are four
This
types
is
of
so
wetlands. We're getting into nature chat here. Okay,
this
so
is such a difficult question.
the big thing about bogs, which are not fens or swamps or marshes, all different things. Uh, bogs have that spongy peat moss deposit.
Interesting.
Do
I
you
don't
think
know if
most of the people making those environments even know that they're making a bog, or are they just putting some water and grass?
I think they just put water and grass. They don't know whether it's a bog or a fen or a swamp or a marsh. And I'm going to start calling them out on it.
there's that one segment in Elden Ring where there's like a wide, like almost lake, but it's like almost only like knee high of
Yeah.
like blood underground. That's pretty crazy. I don't know. Like it's tough to call any of that a bog, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They receive
found
most of
one.
their
I
water from
looked it up.
precipitation as opposed to a runoff from groundwater or streams. Okay, swamps are mostly standing.
I cheated. I tried to look it up, and
Yeah.
I thought that Donkey Kong Country had a bog, but it's a bayou. So,
A bayou is
shit,
something
sorry.
completely different.
Oh shit!
Oh, what is a bayou? What is
Isn't that like a part of like a body of water?
Yeah.
I think it's water mostly, but
It's a slow moving stream, river, marshy lake, wetland, or creek.
Oh, it's got.
creek.
I mean, wetland.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
There's so much.
Whenever I type bog, video game bog into Google, it just autocorrects it to blog.
Yeah. That's what my
They
brain
don't want you to
autocorrected
know.
it to when I first saw it. I know we got an important question from R Gaming. What are your most memorable swamp/bog? No, we can't say swamp/bogs because they're different
I
things.
saw that. I
No.
saw it too.
Those are different things. We're gonna have to figure out what is a top bog in a game. Yeah, there's too much swamp/marsh/bogs. These people.
Yeah, they really use them interchangeably.
Yeah.
Even when I put quotation marks around bog, it still gives me blog.
The one I think of, the one that came to the top of my head that I remembered immediately when I think of like just within that general wetland area. I think there was one in the first Witcher that was like a big kind of wetlands area. I think that there was a wetlands area and there was a lot of fog. And in my mind, because the bogs get really foggy often, there's a lot of that bog fog that shows up, and so I don't know if that's
bog.
yeah. And I remember that area had a lot of fog in it, so I guess that's what makes me think it's more bog. Like I don't know if swamps, no swamp gas. There's swamp gas, so swamps get fog too. Anyway, we've gone down this little rabbit hole.
It might be the case that there's no bogs in any video game.
Are there no
No
true?
real true bog.
Oh God, if there are no true bogs in video games, do I need to do a bog jam?
Bog jam.
I would submit to the bog jam. I'll tell you that.
We need to, where it's like I usually Indiepocalypse is pretty free flowing about what I can include, but no, bog jam. I'd be like, if this is not a bog, it is disqualified.
You have to meet the dictionary definition of a bog.
Right, and we're gonna have it's gonna be sponsored by a wildlife foundation, so that they know specifically that this is in fact a bog. They sign off on it.
We get them to look at every game, just give
Yeah.
like a check mark.
Yeah, they like this. This fits the criteria in terms of like ground layout, vegetation, flora and fauna, both appropriate.
Whether there's the appropriate deposits of peat.
Yes, we need to check peat levels to make sure we've got peak peat levels to ensure bog status. Anyway, this is to say maybe I have feelings about bogs that I didn't know that I had. I can drive to Ocean Spray. I Ocean Spray is like a 30-minute drive for me, maybe even less.
That's crazy. Like the cranberry fields?
Like the factory or whatever.
That stuff always seems so magical to me.
I
What?
know. I love it.
Huge like field of like cranberries just
Yeah, I mean,
there.
There are like a couple of them, not a 5-minute drive away from me.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, it's one
I
of
feel
those.
like that would be a good video game environment, like a
Yeah.
cranberry pond or what bog.
Yeah. Cranberry bog.
Those things come up, and it's one of the reasons why I'm curious about like playing a game like Norco or maybe like Kentucky Route Zero is the idea of. As someone who doesn't, I also don't play a lot of video games, but I have a large list of video games I should probably play at some point. Or like very aspirationally, like, oh, I gotta play these games, but they, in the same way, Blueberry Garden, in the same way that movies where you're like, oh, I gotta sit down and watch a movie, those things are so long. Games are like, I gotta play a game, those things are so long.
Very true.
Okay, I'm looking at Blueberry Garden, but
Is that a game or just like a
No.
blueberry?
it's a very old game. Yeah, I say old, relatively speaking. Also, floods, so we can argue that it's high groundwater. Things grow very fast too. Oh, maybe they're talking about the idea of a blueberry garden. I'm not sure.
Perhaps.
But yeah, there's that thing where it's you don't see the America you see in pop culture is like such like a false version, or like does not feel like an authentic version of what America looks like. It's the very kind of abstracted whatever, like, in the same way that most countries things are just like, here's our abstracted version of what France or England we think it is. Here's New York City, I guess, is what America is.
Yeah.
Los Angeles. Okay, yes, it was the game. Yeah, I did find that Blueberry Garden. Yeah. I'm in incognito mode. Let me get out of incognito mode so I can put Blueberry Garden on my wish list. If I didn't if I didn't accumulate it in some like bundle over the years. Oh, I didn't.
Oh, this is the same person who did Elle's Heartbreak. Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I see it.
Only 6 years between them. video games. They shouldn't take 6 years to make. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, holy cow.
Yeah, that's part of. That's the other secret thing of Indiepocalypse, like doing games the traditional way and seeing people like show the same game year after year after year after year after year. I'm like, that's so much time to make a game.
Yeah.
What if they could be a little shorter? But yeah, and that's also a lot of people worked on Alice Heartbreak.
Yeah.
Games take too long to make. We shouldn't spend so long making video games.
It's really, yeah. You don't expect it to take that long. So long, but it does.
I'm a big fan of reusing. I have to save this because this Twitch chat's gonna go away. Oh wait, you know what I can use to save this? I can use what's that thing? Oh, did they already get rid of that feature? There was a feature for bookmarking that was like mark this to read or something. But I think they may have gotten because I thought it was very annoying. Because I was just trying to bookmark things and I was like try to keep adding it to my to read list. But I think they may have gotten rid of the to read list. But yeah, right. And still working on a new game. You know, some 8 years later. So many games. Links. Maybe there's other. Anyway, getting too distracted by going down these little holes of
Yeah.
game designers and artists and stuff like that, and me going. I wish I had more money to give to people. There's a lot of people are like, oh, if I had more money, I could commission a wider swath of game developers. But it's kind of like you gotta work sustainably, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting closer. Well, it's not sustainable yet. If I lose it, if I don't have a job, it is like still very dependent on the fact that when I say very, I mean 100% dependent on the fact that I have a job. If I did not, I would be like, this is over. And day I would be like, nope, done. Wrap it up. We had a good run. But I would like be skating against having no money if I like. Well, I don't think it's practical, and for myself, and I don't think any kind of developer artist to be like, I should have $0 available for me in life if it means pursuing my craft. It's like, no, you should. Things can happen to you. If you have the ability to put some money aside, you should put some money aside.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting to in the weeds of all this, I do have a little secret project brewing up soon. Getting a lot of good traction of artists, and I'm very excited. But anyway, that's the show. This show's been going for a while. It will keep going for a while more because I've done pledge drives where I talk for 8 hours, and I can continue to talk for a very long time. And if people talk back to me, then I can just go even longer. So these conversations could go very long, but people do need to. I presume that people should also listen to this during and after the fact, so it needs to be kept to be a reasonable length, I think, somewhat. And like, an hour and a half is like a good length to listen to a podcast. I think maybe I don't know.
Sounds right.
That's what I
Yeah.
use. Mine are usually like an hour ish. Anymore, and it's like, what are you doing? Who's got the time to listen to these people? Even if I. Anyway, this is all to say that we're closing down the show. Thank you both for being here. Unless you have any last minute pressing matters to discuss, we're going to move on to the all important final segment of any podcast.
No, I think I'm okay.
All right, perfect. So, what is this? Which is people. We want to find your stuff. And where can we find it, Taylor? Where can people find your stuff if you're looking for it?
Oh, sure. All my games are at slimefriend.itch.io. I have a Twitter. I don't know if you want to go to that though.
Well, hey, will Slime Friend get you there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's my Twitter's on there.
If your itch page gets you there, that's all you really need.
Yeah, there you go. Slimefriend.itch.io.
Perfect. Lily, this game, where can we find these old games in this game you're working on now? What would be the best place to find those?
My itch page also, which is Lily Belmira, and there's no way you can see updates for my new thing at all because I don't post them.
Perfect. Listen, that's a way to live, and that's Bell with one L, just in case don't get saucy with it, but two.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. Do people need updates about everything? I don't think. You don't need to make like devlogs a second job you're doing on. I'm sick of I'm going down. I'm shutting down the content mills. I'm kicking over the mortar and pestle within them, and I'm going no more content mills.
I take a screenshot to send to like my friend, and I'm done for marketing for the next month.
That is also where I'm at. Posting the show and tell to Discord. Wipe my hands. It's done.
Exactly. I make my one post across each social media platform for a month, and I go, ha, success, and then I repeat that the next month. So I do all my marketing work. Could I theoretically spend more time on like all the things, constantly like trying to get involved in conversations and replying to? I could do all these things, but that also takes time, and I don't like it. So I'd rather just, spread my tendrils out and like do word of mouth slowly by including an ever increasing number of contributors, and them being like, "Oh, I was in this thing. I think it's kind of cool," and they'll be like, "What was that thing?" And it's like, I think it was called Indiepocalypse. No, that's not right. It's Indiepocalypse. There's no A in it. They're like, "Oh, that sounds cool," and then they'll think about it 3 months from now, and then maybe Google it. And I'll be like, yes, I have good SEO, so I'm at the top of that. I think I am. Let me check. Incognito. So, yes, I am. I'm top. Oh, my God. My own website is in the top search results. What a treat. But this stupid... I need someone at Polygon to write about me, and I need someone at GameDeveloper.com to write about me. So I can conquer their stupid articles about
the indie apocalypse, which is something they made up.
Yeah, there are too many video games. What now? It's like, no, there are not too many video games. Like, there are literally only too many video games if you think that you need to play every video game, which is impossible. There's too many movies. We're in a movie apocalypse. It's all like, it's all this false premise that like pushes the narrative of there's like must be an established canon each year that we all agree on, and that's like no. The secret is you don't actually need to pay all the games that get marketed and people spend a lot of money on to tell you should play. You don't actually need to play any of those, and your life isn't any worse because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
I can't think of the last, like, I don't know, even any darlings or whatever I've played. You don't need to embrace being like the weird freak that just likes things that nobody else likes and makes you difficult to talk to. That's what I love to do. I love to be I love to go out and have pizza with my friends and be like, guys, who here was watching, who here just finished watching the Three Colors trilogy? And they're like, not me. I don't know what that is. But sometimes you can talk to a friend about the Friends of Eddie Coyle, and you'd be like, yeah, I love that he's a real sad sack, and that they mentioned Fall River, because I know what that place is. That's one of the fun treats about living in a place, not being in a place that people like are in movies all the time, is that when movies say all those town names, you go, yeah, and you pump your face like, yeah, I know those town names. I've driven through them before. I would never stop in them because there's no reason to stop in them, but I have driven past them. But I'm ending the show. Indiepocalypse. It's cool. I think you ought to buy it. If you do things like buy it, that's the main thing you should probably do with it. Or I guess play the games too. You can do both of those things in equal measure. But when you buy them, people like the people here get money, and they like, hey, they just get a little cash. I mean, you can go their individual itch pages and just like buy the games there too. That also works, and they're all linked from the Indiepocalypse like individual store pages. It's like it's not a lot, but it is like maybe occasionally. It's like they're just like, they submitted to Indiepocalypse 3 years ago, and then they occasionally get like $7, and it's like, that's nice. That's $7 they didn't have before. That's kind of like my hope. I love the idea of royalties. It seems like the like least annoying part of like the best version of passive income, you know?
Yeah.
I made art, and then somebody's gonna pay me for it forever because I did it once. Yes. Long-time contributor here, or Ash was in like issue 8 or something, and then like so fully aware of the whole I get $7 every every year or so. You're newbies. You're new to the experience. You don't know what it's like yet to get that. But I occasionally have someone be like, "Oh, I noticed that the contract said that you get money. You're supposed to get paid every 2 weeks, but I didn't get paid these last weeks." I was like, "Bad news for you." After that first week, sales drop off real bad, and also
people have to buy it for you to get paid.
Yeah, and that first week has Patreon, and the Patreon's like been steadily increasing, so it's like you get like $40 just pretty much just from Patreon. So you get it like, oh wow, on your second week you get like $40, and you're like, wow, this thing's cool. Then the third week you're like, I didn't get anything. It's like, hey buddy, you and me both. But that's also why I do the yearly pledge drive, which is coming up soon, as a way to like help distribute that money around and raise a bunch of money, and because I take all those pledge drive funds and I equally distribute them, and I'm thinking I'm going to do it among all the issues that haven't broken even yet, which is 37 of them.
One of them did.
3 of them. Well, I'm counting the 2 bonus issues.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, one was sponsored, so it kind of doesn't count because I didn't someone else technically Range Touch paid for that issue, so it kind of. But then like 2 of them have also just organically broken even over time. One of them was the first issue, so it only took
my God.
2.5 years or whatever. And what is the other one? Oh, the other one is a 3rd issue. So
Oh my God.
the rest of them, not so much. Which one is the furthest away from breaking even? 36.
Oh no.
36 is looking pretty far away. For your issue, I will say, issue 37 currently running a net profit of negative $390.73.
Oh no.
Dang.
So let me just do some quick math. So 390 times, I get 20%. So what do I do with that? So it's like 390 divided by 0.20, I think. Yeah, so it's like 1950 in sales, I think, and then I'll break even. That's just like, I don't know, 100 people. A little. What's that like?
Oh no.
I know why. Okay, I hit stop recording, but it actually wasn't that long ago because my stop recording is on my numpad's subtract bar. So it was when I was talking about the math. So
The subtraction did it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Because when I record the footage for my for the trailers I make each month, I have 2 things I rarely use while I'm streaming, which is the numpad multiply and numpad subtract. But here I am doing math on stream, so
the math did it.
Yeah. But fortunately, that means I didn't lose very much. You just lost me saying about math. Oh, right. You lost me talking about indiepocalypse.com/Patreon, indiepocalypse.com/submit. That's it. Thank you both for being here. Thank you
for having me.
No, thank you for being in the zine and for making games. The medium is enriched just merely by the presence of all these contributors, and I have been spending the past year overcoming my frustration that more people are not paying attention to it. When I'm like, look at all these people, they're making such good games. I'm handing them to you on a silver platter. But you know what? Even if no matter the coverage, the games are still good. They still exist, and 10 years from now they'll still be good. Art doesn't get worse with time usually. Sometimes things become dated, but generally speaking, they don't get worse. Some works of art even get better with time. As we kind of recognize the brilliance they had that we couldn't recognize at the time. The art takes off their glasses and undoes their hair, and we're like, "You were so beautiful the whole time," and I never knew it. But with that, I'm closing the show. Thank you both for being here. Goodbye.
Thank you.